The bride tried to scam the bridesmaid and made everyone pay for her wedding. Now all of us are tired of her manipulation, and she got a not-so-happy ending. Several years ago, a friend of mine asked me to be a bridesmaid at her wedding. There were 6 of us plus the mo, so 7 total. The bride had picked out her dress already, one for the mo and one for the bridesmaids. The dresses were lovely but a bit expensive at $400 each since 2 of us were still in college and the rest had recently graduated. I was one of the 2 still in college, so money was super tight. Anyhow, the bride asked the mo to coordinate with all of us for fitting/alterations, which was one of her duties. The mo decided she would pay for all of the dresses on her credit card because she wanted the air miles, and we would pay her back directly. None of us minded, especially since she would let us pay her back in installments if needed. I wasn't able to go with everyone to pick up the dresses because of finals week, and planned to go by myself the following weekend. No big deal. The mo said she would pay for mine on the group trip but told her to call her if there were any issues with the dress, and she would handle it. I get there, and the dress fits perfectly. The shop owner scoots off while I change back into my street clothes since another client is coming in, but she confirms we're all set. As I'm walking out the door, another person working there yells out, "Hey, that will be $200. I was stunned and mortified. I apologized and explained how I thought the mo had paid for it the weekend before. The shop owner came running over to defuse the situation and confirmed the dress had already been paid for. I turned to walk out and suddenly realized she said $200 and not $400. Long story short, the dress was only $200. When I confronted the mo about it, she spilled the beans. Apparently, the bride and mo plotted to charge us double to help pay for the bride's dress. I let the rest of the bridesmaids know, and 4 of us dropped out of the wedding immediately. Update: the wedding took place several years ago, almost a full 10 now, and I haven't spoken to the bride and mo since. The only other people I knew were the 3 other bridesmaids who dropped out with me. The 2 other bridesmaids were cousins of the bride, and they agreed to continue on as a favor to their mom, the bride's aunt, to avoid family drama. More on them in a bit. Fast forward to now. I got an email from the mo, who wanted to apologize again. She wasn't making excuses for her behavior. On the contrary, she acknowledged her wrongdoing and said she still felt incapable of saying no to the bride/her friend. She was pretty disgusted with herself and relieved when I confronted her. To her credit, she said as much back then. They'd been friends forever and it took her a really long time to see behind the mask and how toxic the friendship had always been and the part she played in it. I believe her. A quick flashback: when the truth came out, I hadn't yet paid for the dress, so I just turned it over to the mo. The 3 other bridesmaids got their money back immediately without any hassle. The mo apologized like crazy to all of us at the time, but we just wrote off her, the bride, and the whole situation. None of us ever heard from the bride. No apologies, no nothing. It turns out that the bride never reimbursed the mo for anything. Initially, the bride said she would repay her, but after the wedding, everything changed. She said if the mo hadn't spilled the beans, she wouldn't be out all the money and it's the price paid for being a disloyal friend. And the mo wasn't just out the $200 by 6 bridesmaid dresses. The bride had also convinced the mo to charge the wedding dress because it would be easier for the bride to pay off the balance at the end. When the mo threatened to take the bride to court, the bride said her cousins, the 2 bridesmaids, would say the mo came up with the whole scheme and have her arrested for fraud. Years later, she found out the cousins never agreed to such a thing and would have been willing to go to court and say the exact opposite. They were disgusted by the whole situation, too, and wanted to drop out, but their mother, the bride's aunt, pushed them to keep appearances up for the family. They even told the mo that the replacement bridesmaids had paid the bride $200 cash for each dress, none of which had made it to the mo. I almost forgot the funny part. The bride told her future husband, that the 4 of us dropped out because we were jealous of her. So her whole family, plus the mo, knew the truth, but neither the nor anyone in his family had any clue. There was also much more behind the scenes the mo was privy to that we didn't see and wouldn't anyway after we dropped out. Apparently, the bride manipulated her entire family into paying for most of the wedding and the honeymoon. The dresses were supposed to be her one and only responsibility, and likewise, the was responsible for the suits. That's not what she had told us at the time, and she even bragged that her was paying for everything. The bride also tried to manipulate her future in-laws into buying her a new car as a wedding present. They didn't, and in revenge, she interrupted the mother and son dance just moments after it started. Looked at the mo and said watch this and then waltzed out onto the floor and basically shoved her new mother-in-law out of the way. She also accused the reception wait staff of trying to ruin the photos by getting in the way of the photographer as they were serving the guests. Even after the photographer confirmed they were not in any of the shots, she still insisted they would have to personally reimburse her, even though she never paid for anything in the first place. Oh, it gets worse. At the brunch the morning after, the mo said the bride gave a short toast to herself, didn't thank anyone, and barely acknowledged her new husband. As for the mo, she says she tried to collect the money she was owed but eventually accepted it was gone and cut off all ties. Even still, the bride would reach out every couple of months to ask if she was done being such a bitch yet. When the mo blocked her number, the bride spread rumors about the mo and her fiancé at the time, now husband, saying that he was an illegal. Apologies, I loathe that word and people who use it. Your group and the ring shaming group are the only 2 shaming groups that shut it down. If it's not okay even in this context, please let me edit the post. I don't want to get banned and have to go back to the racist wedding shaming groups lol. Marrying her only for the green card and claiming they use government assistance to pay for the wedding. Meanwhile, He had already become an American citizen long before they met and was / before they met and was / is a ridiculously successful software engineer who paid for the entire wedding himself and took not only his immediate family but hers too to Hawaii for the honeymoon. The bride was just jealous that the Mo had everything she wanted. As for the bride, she's on divorce number 2 already and estranged from her entire family because they got tired of her manipulating and using them, too.